Will you get the instant tax cut? Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this article from news.com.au written by Samantha Maiden about the instant tax cut. They're going to backdate it. So, I mean, that seems very generous and very nice of the government, doesn't it? So, naturally, I'm very suspicious, very, very suspicious if they're looking at doing that. If they're looking at giving us money they want to spend. Is this a sign of confidence? Does this fill you with confidence in the state of the economy? Or does it scream of desperation? Let me know in the comments while I have a shot of my coffee. Because it doesn't fill me with confidence. So, Treasurer Josh Frydenberg is planning to backdate personal income tax cuts in Tuesday night's budget, ensuring workers have more money in their pockets and don't have to wait for tax relief. Will it only be workers or will it be everyone? Will it be everyone? So those of us that have a small business, perhaps. I hope. Why not? You know, more money in my hands, more money in your hands, more economic activity. And then maybe they'll look at some of the services or things they're providing that they could probably cut back on and save some money on. The instant tax relief can be delivered swiftly despite the new financial year commencing on July 1, according to tax experts. It would simply involve the Australian Taxation Office changing the weekly tax table that companies use to pay wages and salaries in this financial year, ensuring workers can keep more of what they earn. While speculation is centred on the Morrison government bringing forward tax cuts, the more unorthodox approach to backdating means the relief can be offered in this financial year. Senior government sources have confirmed the option to retrospectively deliver the tax cuts to ensure workers don't have to wait until July 2021 or 2022 for tax relief. And that's, well, if their objective is to use this to stimulate the economy, that's the goal. That's going to be much more effective. If people start seeing more money in their pockets, it might offset some of the increased cost of living, the higher cost of food or other expenses that we're all encountering, or our internet bills, which are all going up. At least mine is. Or my power bill, which has gone up. Tax cuts worth $20 billion were scheduled to come into force in 2022. A third stage of the tax cuts, with a tax rate of 32.5% to apply to the vast majority of workers, is scheduled for 2024. And here, any discussion about tax cuts, all of these left-leaning articles you're seeing in the media, most of them all, are just, well, what they do is they'll focus in on the wealthy people who receive a higher tax cut. But the truth is, you usually pay more tax. The problem is we're taxed, so the tax burden on people here in Australia is so high. So that creates this situation where it incentivizes people rather than being innovative, rather than going out of their way to create new work. So it reaches a point where it's more efficient to find ways to reduce your tax burden. So that's what a lot of our productive capacity is being spent on in Australia. And where does that naturally go? Well, property, where we've seen a bubble form, everyone, where we've certainly seen a bubble form in property. We've got so much of our wealth tied into property because, well, it makes sense. If you're paying a lot of tax, and you want to mitigate that, buy a property, make a loss on it. Don't worry, you'll probably, it goes up every 7 years, unless it's an apartment in Western Australia, but still. So it makes a lot of sense. But the problem with that is we then have an economy which, well, complexity is slowly dwindling. It's slowly dwindling. And I will bring up this reference for those of you that may not have seen it. This is the Observatory of Economic Complexity. And you can see here the complexity of our economy is 73rd in the world. And that's to do with the complexity of what we're exporting, what we can actually manufacture here in Australia. This is the problem, guys. We're an exporter of natural resources. Coal is now at the top, then iron ore, petroleum gas, gold, some of our biggest exports. They're not as complicated as silicon chips, mobile phones, or more complicated devices. And because, well, what's the incentive to invest in some of these quite costly and more advanced technology to try and generate some income from that here in Australia when you can get it, well, cheaper from overseas, and it's just easier and less burdensome to push it all into property. So that's now we're in a situation where 57% of the wealth of the country is tied up into housing, guys. The personal income tax cuts for middle income earners are worth up to $2,565 a year for workers earning more than $120 and $1,080 a year for anyone earning more than $50,000. Which, you know, $2,500, $1,000, that's not chump change, guys. It's decent money. You know, that $2,500, that's a beast, a cow. That can feed your family for months. Good quality meat. Is that a normal thing now that I start to see all of these things in like the cost of an entire cow? I get that. Just what happens when you go down the carnivore path, isn't it? In an interview with news.com.au, Treasurer Josh Frydenberg refused to be drawn on the method bringing forward relief, but confirmed the fast tracking of the tax cuts will be revealed on Tuesday night. You'll want to wait. I'm not giving away the budget, he said. I mean, it's going to be interesting, this budget, guys. I should do a live stream of it. But as you know, we took tax cuts to the last election. We successfully legislated them. The reality is they got passed. There are 3 stages, and we've given active consideration to the timing of those stages, and more will be known on budget night. So how much tax could you save? How much tax could you save? So you can see here, so annual tax savings since 2018, I mean, you can see going up to total tax save with the second cut. So someone on 200 grand will save 11,000. While someone on 21,000 will save only $87. It's because they pay a lot less tax. If you want to get this $11,000, guys, you have to earn more and pay more tax. That's the harsh reality of life. But it creates a disincentive when you're at the upper end. Still, you know, every bit helps. It's more money in your pocket, guys. Asked if the July 2022 tax cuts could be brought forward, for example, from July 1, 2020, Mr. Frydenberg did not reject the option, observing, again, you'll have to wait for the budget. But the tax cuts will require new legislation, setting the scene for a potential battle with the Labour Party in the Senate if the legislation includes bringing forward tax cuts for higher income earners originally scheduled for 2024. I mean, there you go, everyone. Labour doesn't want to, you know, doesn't want tax cuts. And we've seen here, you know, the guys earning over 100 grand in Sydney is probably what you need for a lot of people to get by. And that's more money that's going to be spent in the economy. Let's give people tax cuts. Let's stop the jealousy that more money in people's hands, more responsibility towards the individual. Why are Labour fighting it? Why are they fighting it? To change the timing of the tax cuts will require legislation, Frydenberg confirmed. There are a lot of measures in the budget designed to boost economic activity now. All will be revealed on budget night. Experts say there's a couple of different ways those cuts could be delivered into workers' pockets quickly. H&R Block Director of Tax Communications, Mark Chapman, said the 2 main options included retrospectively applying the tax cuts from the 29-20 year, which was messy, or backdating the tax cuts to July 2020. I think bringing in retrospectively for last year would be really difficult because millions of people have already lodged their tax returns, he said. The ATO would effectively have to go back and reassess people, but the cost and resources involved would be considerable. The more likely scenario is to bring them forward for the tax year we are now in. Despite the fact the new financial year has already started, the Treasurer could legislate to backdate the tax cuts to cover 2021. The ATO would then send out new tax tables for businesses for the rest of the year, ensuring workers get to keep more of what they earn. That's unusual, but if he wants these tax cuts to have impact, you would need to introduce them for immediate effect. He could introduce them retrospectively from July 1. That simply means the ATO would have to adjust their tax tables for the rest of the year. Or he could introduce tax cuts from January 1. It would involve the ATO changing the tax tables. If you're employed, you will see the benefits right away. You would get the immediate boost. If you're a sole trader, you won't see that right away. They won't see the impact right away. but they do pay tax in quarterly installments. Last week, the Prime Minister all but confirmed tax cuts will be the centrepiece of the budget when he attacked critics of the tax plan. At a time of recession, the Australian Institute wants to take money out of people's pockets, a spokesman said. We always focus on how we can give it back to them and lower taxes. Deloitte Access Economics' Chris Richardson said, to get the money flowing in the economy now to help lift Australia out of recession, the Treasurer can't wait to introduce tax cuts. Mr. Richardson said that by delivering tax cuts this financial year, it will also help tackle the looming fiscal cliff in March 2021, when JobKeeper is axed and job seekers reduced again. The band-aids come off in March 2021. If the tax cuts don't start until July 2021, that's a long time to take. My gut says something has got to help fill the gap. You want to get it into their hot little hands now so they can spend, spend. So there we have it, everyone. Interesting predictions on, well, this tax cut and how they will bring it forward. What do you think? Would you be happy with a tax cut? Or do you think the government needs to have more of that money because they're smarter at it than us dumb plebs? Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. I think you know my answer to that one. As always, thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, or Independent Reserve down below. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, guys, and I will see you all next time. Bye for now.